Alrighty, welcome to Romera Records podcast. Today we have on
Patrick Riley.
Patrick. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot.
So, this is pretty cool because I don't get to see you much. I've probably seen you, three? This is the third time? Third time? So Patrick is what is your exact title?
Systems engineer, but it can be a little misleading because in the programming world, systems engineer is usually something a little bit different. But specifically, if you were to ask me, I would say an automation engineer.
Oh, okay.
Because, what I do is I go into factories and usually program industrial PLCs. It's a different type of programming. You don't have Python, you don't have C# or C++. Although you can use structured text. But
Yeah.
it's an automations engineer's job to basically program pieces of machinery that are used for automation in industrial settings.
So, you were telling me about you got out of college and went straight into working.
Yeah.
Now, when you were in college, did you think that was going to be like a possibility to just go straight into working?
No, and it's probably one of my regrets is going straight into working like that because.
Make sure you have the mic on you.
Okay, yeah.
You can bring it back though if you need to.
All right, I'll bring it with me. But that was one of my regrets is getting into the workforce right out of college. Of course, like while you're in college, you're spending money every day on textbooks, tuition, this, that, and the other, and all you can think about is that day that you're going to start making money. Yeah. That was all that was on my mind. But all my friends were taking a couple weeks off, going to travel and stuff, and I regret that. I didn't do that, but. Turns out that I travel a lot for my job, so I got to experience that in the end after all, but it was on different terms, I guess.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, while I was in college, I really didn't think that I was going to be doing what I was doing. I actually went to school for mechanical engineering, believe it or not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I didn't get any or a lot of the training that an electrical engineer would on control systems or PLCs, programmable logic controllers. But I didn't think that was even going to be a possibility. I wanted to be like an R&D team at, obviously everyone wants to work for NASA.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Like Elon Musk's SpaceX or something, that would have been a dream job for me.
Yeah.
But I ended up working with Robin through an internship my junior and senior year, and Robin owns Automation Systems and Controls.
Yeah.
And they took me in. They were really kind because I had no experience. I was a mechanical engineer. I really didn't know a whole lot about automation. I've read about it, and we had a couple of textbooks related to some of the concepts and stuff, but didn't have a whole lot of knowledge, especially no field experience, which is really the valuable stuff. But he took me in, and I really did a gambit of things. I even I went on like project trips with him. Like we went to Minneapolis, and I was pulling wire with the electricians up in the forklift or up in the scissor lifts rather, harnessed in, and it was actually at an Owens Corning facility.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I didn't know a whole lot about installation at that point or fiberglass.
Oh,
and I made the mistake of having my shirt tucked in. I'll never forget this.
Oh,
I had my shirt tucked in, and I was on top of one of the wire troughs, and I opened up that lid, and it's like a 5-foot lid. As soon as I did that, just insulation and fiberglass dust just fell down my shirt. And because my shirt was tucked into my pants, and I don't know why, but it was also tucked in my underwear in some places, I lifted up my pants, and it just went straight through my pants, out of my jeans at the bottom, and it was a horrible day.
Jeez, dude. So, when yesterday you were like, I need to shower because I've got fiberglass all over. I was like, dude, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's the worst because it just stays on you. And it
lingers.
Yeah. And even if you're like, I'll be good. Let me take a shower. I'm straight after that. No. Like, it's on you the next day. And then the next day.
Yeah.
It's terrible. But I'm like working around that stuff is still like, it's still impossible to be away from, because even like, so we're in the coder area, like, because it's still that dry mat, those fibers are still going everywhere. And I mean, it's part of the tension that's, that's on the rolls or whatever, but that stuff, it's terrible.
Yes, and I have a newfound respect for the people that work before the coder, like upstream, where it's just dry mat. That's the bad part.
That's awful.
Yeah.
So when you finish school and then you start working with ASCI as like an intern, did you think that it was something? Did you think it was overwhelming? It was exactly what you thought it was, or was it like, this is kind of easy?
It was definitely overwhelming.
Okay.
Yeah, Robin I was fortunate to get an internship where I was directly involved on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. For the most part, the first couple weeks were a little slow as they figured out what they could get me doing. But once I started doing stuff, I got thrown right into the fire. And it was definitely trial by fire. And it's kind of an ongoing phrase at our office, too. Every new person has to go through the gauntlet. And then that's kind of when you earn everyone's respect. You go on this project, you do it yourself, and you're going to make some mistakes, but by the end of it, you're going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
And until you actually do it yourself, you don't really know a whole lot about it. So I got to do not any projects by myself, but I worked alongside with senior management or engineering and got to do a lot of projects. And I also wired up panels. I mean, I did everything. Mm-hmm. And it really helped me after my internship as I'm working with them after graduation now. You get a respect and also an understanding of everything that goes into the process.
Yep.
Because we build electrical panels. We're turnkey systems integrators, how we market ourselves. Mm-hmm. So we do everything from step A to step Z. So
turnkey, does that start at like, hey, we want to put in this new system for it to do blah, blah, blah. Can y'all do it? And then you're like, yep, we'll get the parts. We'll, wire everything up. We'll install it. And then all you got to do is just run it.
Yes.
Is that turnkey? Okay.
Yeah. The kind of concept is like we give you the key and you just put it in the ignition and start it. And then that's all you have to do.
Okay.
And matter of fact, I just got back from Train before I came here, Train Heating and Air, and they're wanting to put in like a whole assembly line with robotic arms, assembling heating and AC units.
Okay.
And that's something that we can do. We go in there, we take the measurements. We have 3D scanners, so we take 3D scans of the entire facility to get more accurate 3D models later on. And we do modeling of the robotic arms to figure out their range of motion, what kind of, there's a lot that goes into it. And each person in our office are specialized in a certain way to help as that kind of quote progresses through the stages. And then we'll offer that in a bid package to the customer.
Do you specialize in like anything specifically, or are you just trying to like be well-rounded on like everything?
I want to be well-rounded on everything.
Okay.
I always like to jump into new projects that I don't know a lot about, if they'll let me. So I always want to learn things I don't know.
Yeah.
It makes you more valuable as an employee, and also, it's just enjoyable to me to learn new things.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've reached a point where my niche is like PID control systems.
Yeah.
Like that's actually what I'm here in Memphis doing.
Yeah.
So I do a lot with OC and out of OC with PID and vision systems, especially part defects, stuff like that, identifying part defects and rejecting or otherwise doing something with a defected part are all things I've been pretty heavily involved with since I've started.
So the way ASCI has worked with Owens Corning, like y'all take up all of our like that and or y'all and MSP, like most of our programming. What's the other one? SSOE. But it definitely goes ASCI, MSP, and then SSOE. Like y'all are taking up most of our work.
That's how we like it too.
Is there? But like, is that something that you plan, or is that something that it just so happens to be that way? Like, are you allowing Owens Corning to take up most of your time?
That's definitely a question for the upper management, but from my point of view, I'd say that's definitely like our kind of not strategy, but we definitely want to be as involved with Owens Corning as we can be.
Okay,
because they're very valued customers of ours, and we've done a lot in the roofing industry, and we know a lot about it. We consider ourselves to be experts in that, industrial category. So since we are already so good at it, we want to, keep our business with you guys and do more business if we can.
Yeah.
And we're expanding as well to another shop actually across the street that's nearly 4 times as large as ours, and we're going to be hiring more engineers so we can start taking in more projects too from both OC and other customers too. But no, we love doing business with OC.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I mean, like, if you're, because y'all aren't like a massive company, so
Right.
to have a massive company as like one of your main customers, that's got to be pretty cool. And especially from Robin's eyes, it's like, oh, I started this company and now they need me. This other big company needs me. So that's got to be pretty cool from his perspective.
Yeah, I'm sure it is, and it's cool from my perspective too. I've always enjoyed the work I've done for OC, minus the fiberglass.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
But it's always cool. I mean, there's so many things. I never knew what went into making a shingle. I didn't even know how a shingle was made.
Right.
And I went into the facility. It was like an episode of How It's Made.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love those. And it was crazy. Actually, I think there's an episode on insulation, bad insulation that was filmed at an OC plant for How It's Made. But I've always enjoyed the work I've done through ASCI for OC, and it's always been something different, Plant to plant is always a different job, different experience, but you're always learning something new every time, even if it is the same job.
What other companies have you been able to go into that you thought were really interesting?
Well, I won't name specific companies, but I'll say the industries. I mean, we've gone a little bit into the food industry, a lot into the oil industry, storage of chemicals, like tank farms, stuff like that, ship unloaders at ports, material handling, and all industries, mining or otherwise, just to name a few.
So when I was coming out of the AAM program, something that I didn't even think about until one of the girls that was in the program mentioned this. She was like, I don't want to go into food. And I was like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Because so the companies that were there were Owens Corning. There was a company called, I think Thermodynamics or Thermosystems or something. I forgot. Who else was there? Nestle. I keep getting this mixed up. One time I said Hershey, but I think it's Nestle. God, who else was there? Tyson.
Tyson, yeah. We've done some work for them.
Brady. They do a lot of printing, those handheld
for the label makers.
Yeah, label makers.
Yeah.
But yes, a bunch of other companies were there. But when she was talking about that, I was like, dang, I didn't even think about that. And when they start pitching themselves to us, Cargill was also there. They make sausages and pepperonis, stuff like that. But I was like, man, I do not want to go in food because it's got to be so clean, and it's you can't do anything without making sure that you're sterilized or whatever. And then also the temperature. It's always cold in there.
Yeah, a lot of cases.
And I was like, man, I didn't think about that. So Owens Corning is just whatever's outside is inside. So luck of the draw. So that's one part. Also, it's always dirty at OC. So you don't have to worry about making sure that everything's clean, or you don't have to be careful with what you do because it's dirty manufacturing type business.
Right.
So.
They're putting sand on a shingle.
Yeah.
So there's going to be, but they keep it really clean.
Yeah.
I mean, for the process, it's a very dirty and, a sand intensive, granule intensive process. So surprisingly clean.
But our standard for where we want it to be and where it is, you see the plant now, it doesn't look great compared to what they want it to be. They want it to be nothing on the floor and stuff like that, which I've been to. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I've been to, what plant was that? Brookville.
Brookville, yeah, they're always the ones. Yeah, they gloat about it. They're very proud of their floors and everything being very clean. And I got to say, it's shiny.
It's nice.
It's shiny.
But apparently, their plant leader used to be the ops leader in Memphis,
Oh, really?
And they said that's what he was a stickler about, was like making sure everything was clean. So
he carried that with him, it sounds
yeah,
like.
apparently. But yeah, it was pretty nice in there. And even like their mat tenders, like he didn't even wear a suit. Like, our guys wear like the white suit.
Yeah, the Tyvek suit.
He didn't even wear a Tyvek suit. Like he was just wearing, his regular OC uniform, and then would just like take it looks like a vacuum, like a small vacuum, but it's a blower, and he would just like blow himself off like about every hour or so, because he would do his splice, and then he would have to like go do a bunch of other stuff and like go get another roll, and then like once he like finished his little cycle of things, he would just blow himself off and he'd be good. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, what is this place? So yeah, I mean,
he's a brave man, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's just when you see like people do the same thing that you're doing but different, and you see people like do it better, you're like, holy smokes, like we need to do this, like we need y'all here and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, whenever I see someone, like you said, doing the similar thing but doing it better, I'm like, dang, how do I do it better? How do I do it more like that? I want to be on that level.
But then you also think about like, like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah,
like it's something so simple. Nothing frustrates me more than that, is because I hate wasting time. Like, I love being efficient. That's something that I strive on. Like, my wife will tell you, she's like, you just do so much in such little time. And I got a friend, he always says, like, there was like a book on being efficient, and he's like, that's you. But I just like to cram as much stuff in as little time. So like when I see people just constantly moving and just like doing stuff, and then being able to do more than other people like in a certain amount of time, it doesn't look like they're working harder. It just looks like they're just constantly like just smooth. They're just getting stuff done. That's what I really appreciate. And seeing Brookville run like that, I was, why can't Memphis be this way? Yeah, I don't know. So what plants haven't you been to as far as like OC roofing?
I have been to
I know you've been to.
I've been to every single one of them.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
that was good answer. All right.
I couldn't name them all, but I know I've been to every single one.
Oh, okay.
Houston, Irving, California.
There's Portland.
Portland, been
Compton.
There. Yep. Been
Minneapolis. Kearney. Did you go to Kearney before and after the accident that happened?
Oh, what was the accident? I just went there recently. That was the last one I had checked off my list.
It looked brand new, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
for the most part,
I think they had.
Was that fire?
I think the roof caved in.
Oh.
I don't remember what happened, but I think the roof caved in, so they had to like get a whole new plant.
Did it collapse onto the line?
I think so. I'm not positive.
Geez.
I can't remember, but yeah, I think the roof caved in, and so they had to like get a whole new place, and it was millions of dollars of just like replacing stuff.
God.
Yeah.
The roof collapsed at a roofing mill.
Right. Exactly.
There's some irony to that.
Yeah. And we even have those issues that worries me. Like I'll be like, man, we should probably fix the roof on this. Even like, I think I was telling you about the sprinkler house that's got like the
oh yeah,
I've got to show you that, because that's funny. Because even I don't know if you met Renee, if you had to do like your safety training with Renee. She's the safety, the EHS coordinator. She talks about it. She's like, how is the roofing in this sprinkler house messed up, and we're a roofing company? I was like, Renee, we take care of outside. The customers come first, not us.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's pretty cool. So you were talking about doing the 3D scanning and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's some cool stuff.
Yeah. So when I guess who's doing the buying for that? How did y'all find the scanners? Like, what companies do you work with? What's all that about?
So I gotta take a little credit for this one. I actually kind of pitched this to the office a while back because I noticed some of our competitors were doing it. Mm. I think SSOE has a variant of 3D scanning they do. And I'm like, Rob, we should try offering this. I think it'd save us a lot of time too, because one of the biggest expenses for us is literally just sending people out to a site to measure things and then fly back.
Jeez.
It's expensive.
That's crazy.
I mean, to mobilize people to fly out to Portland, stay there for 2 days, get a rental car, pay for a hotel, per diem, it adds up pretty quick.
Dang.
And you're never left satisfied with what you've gotten, because you get back and you realize, oh, shit, I missed a measurement.
Yeah.
And then what? You got to go back, or you got to have somebody take it for you, and you're like, oh, is it accurate? I don't know. But with the 3D scanner, and the one we chose was the Faro system 3D scanner.
Is that the name of the company, Faro?
Yeah, Faro.
Okay.
And they're a pretty big company, and they actually, one of the main uses is in CSI. So when there's like a murder scene, the rep was telling me this. I thought it was pretty cool. When there's a murder scene at a
That would be
building,
my pitch.
yeah. I'm like, I can't think of a better pitch. That's pretty cool. And he's like, well, don't let me get into the military. I'm like, all right, well, I want you to now. But he was explaining how it's used at a crime scene to do the ballistics for like gunshots and entries and exits, and where it was positioned when it was shot. It can do some pretty cool stuff.
That's awesome.
And ours goes out to 60 meters, and it's got like 0.5 millimeter of resolution at 60 meters. It's pretty tight.
That's awesome.
So you can imagine taking a few scans around just a line, you see everything, because it does 360 degrees, and it also scans up and down. Minus, you usually sit it on a tripod. There's like a head, you set it on a tripod and you lock it into place. Then it has a motor that slowly spins it as it's taking its photos. And what you get out of this scanner is like it's called a 3D point cloud. So it's a bunch of points that are, positioned in space in the right way that make up whatever 3D object that you were looking at. And our system also has a camera in it, so it also colorizes every one of those pixels. So you come out with a really brilliant 3D model without even having to model anything up.
That's wild.
And you can measure from point to point. You can put on VR goggles and walk through the plant. We did that the other day, and it was incredible.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we actually just recently got this about 2 months ago, and we scanned Portland's line. Actually, I went to Portland and scanned their line, and it turned out beautifully. And that was just kind of a test run, but we were able to use that to determine some measurements for another bid that we were quoting. And we already saved a trip up there. So it's a really interesting technology. And I think it's something that's not just going to be beneficial in industrial settings, but they use it for all sorts of stuff, even in commercial settings where in civil applications where they're putting in dirt or, trying to figure out the lay of the land. You've probably seen people on the side of the road doing surveying. You can replace that with a 3D scanner, and it can do all that for you.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So did you have to learn how to use that through like a training course, or you just kind of let's just throw it out there and figure it out?
Well, I did a lot of reading on it, and we actually have some training courses lined up later next month. But I basically just did as much research as I could without the training courses. So we had them scheduled, but I didn't get a chance to do them yet. And just kind of winged it. But it worked out pretty well. I'm sure I didn't get the best results, but it looked really nice.
What kind of learner are you? Are you a visual or I could read this and remember it type?
Definitely visual.
Okay.
Yeah. I was always a visual learner, even in college. I needed to, sometimes tangible things even, like I needed to write it down.
Hands-on? Or?
Yeah, hands-on especially.
Okay.
I love working with my hands even. But, yeah, I could never just read something and remember it.
Yeah.
I always had that problem.
That's what I am. Like I can't just read something and just understand it. Like it takes me, I need somebody to explain it to me, or somebody to show me physically how to put something together, and then I'll be like, okay, I get it. And then that's when I also my brain, I need to know, I think I need to know why something happens, because then it helps me put the whole story together. Oh, okay, this does this and that does that, and this is why it does that, because that just gives me reference points to
some clarity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely, I can relate there too.
What school did you go to?
Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern?
Yep.
That school, it's them and
Georgia State?
I was thinking just Georgia Tech, or some of the best engineering schools there are.
Georgia Tech's definitely number one in Georgia.
Okay.
Georgia Southern's really developed their engineering program over the few years, even that I've been out of college. Matter of fact, and I think they're really good now. They've got an industrial engineering facility set up, a whole brand new building, and they actually have mock assembly lines and stuff like that set up. Sorry, it's not industrial engineering; it's manufacturing engineering. And man, I envy the people that are going through school now in that like field of study because they're just learning some really cool stuff.
Yeah,
it's basically what we're doing in the field. They're learning hands-on in class.
Yeah,
I wish I had that experience.
I always tell people the story of when I was at the AAM program that we were looking at. It was like a week or a couple of days where we were just doing like soft skills, and we were looking at like resumes and like how to put a resume together and stuff like that. And we looked at like a mock resume, and this one resume had like their education was mechatronics, and somebody was like. The person who was talking to us about it, they were like, so what do you think about, this resume? And they were just going on about it. And one guy was like, I mean, just look at his education. Like, this whole resume is bad. He's got mechatronics on his, that's not even a real thing. And then this one kid in class was like, yes, it is. And he was like, that's my major in school.
He took that very personally.
He took it very personal. And it was hilarious because the kid was really smart. But we didn't know that was his major.
Yeah.
And so when he was telling that was hilarious because I was like, oh, yeah, he's right.
So a lot of schools don't offer mechatronics.
It's a new thing.
It is. It's a combination of both mechanical and electrical systems combining and a product from that.
Yeah. It sounds fake.
Yeah, it does. It sounds like a made-up word, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a really, really difficult major in most universities.
Is that something like so? Do you have just a bachelor's degree, or do you have?
In mechanical engineering.
Would you consider doing more, or are you like, I'm working, I don't need more schooling?
Yeah, I've leaned both ways, and the thing that's keeping me from going back to the school for an engineering like master's or something like that is I don't feel like it's worth the money and time because in the time I would be spending doing that, I would get more education out in the field doing it hands-on. The amount that I've learned after college, just working with ASCI, has been 5, even maybe tenfold of what I learned in the university. Yeah. You just don't get that same sort of education as you do as, trial by fire and just experience.
That's something that I can't say I'm an advocate for. Like I try to say that, but I haven't really done anything. But a soft advocate, I'll say that. Is I just hate the way school systems are set up. And I've said this on like my last 2 podcasts is school was designed for that very like old school way of like when we had the one school teacher that taught everybody and there was like 20 children in this one classroom and she just taught them, their math and their English and all that kind of stuff. But like that's just not how life is anymore.
Yeah.
Like you've got kids that are growing up who are, like think about like Justin Bieber. Like he was like 14 and making hits and making millions of dollars. He doesn't need high school. Like he can make music for the rest of his life and he's good.
Yeah, you don't need university to turn out to do great things.
Exactly.
I mean, there's so many examples of that in our culture and our history.
Yeah,
of brilliant people.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm not sure about. I know there's a lot of. I was thinking about Elon Musk, but I think he did go to University for Computer Science.
I think he did. I don't know what he went to school for, but I know he like came from. He was born in like South Africa.
Yeah,
and then moved. He either moved to the U.S. or Canada. Do you know which one?
I thought it was the U.S.
It was the U.S. I think at one point he lived in Canada. It was for like a stint, and then obviously now he lives in the U.S. But
started PayPal.
Yeah, started PayPal. A lot of people either forget or don't know that.
Yep, I remember. I always love following Elon Musk. He's like inspiration.
He's the Einstein or Tesla of our time period.
Yeah, I mean, he's the real life Iron Man, from the Marvel
for sure
universe. But what he's done and what he's accomplished and the risk he's taken, are really incredible. I mean, he sold his shares of PayPal to fund SpaceX. And I remember the first couple test flights were a failure. And then he's like, all right, well, we don't have any outer funding and there's no more, goes at this after this. So I'm just going to put in the rest of my money that I made from PayPal to fund this last rocket launch. If it's a failure, well, it's a flop. But if it's a success, we've really got something here.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it worked. And after that, the rest is history. SpaceX is huge now.
And I was telling somebody, like, there's something to be said about just America's government, because a lot of people like to give America crap for being more capitalism. And okay, sure, I get it. But if you think about it, capitalism is amazing because it allows people to do what they want.
It drives you, too, to be, to want more. So, I mean, everyone wants more money.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it drives most people to do more and to do more difficult things, to get out of your comfort zone, because you got to compete against everyone else for that dollar at the end of the day.
Like, the only people who don't like capitalism are the type of people who just want everybody to have the same, like, which is socialism. So socialism, for those of you who don't listen to politics at all, which was me like a year ago, like I did not care about politics whatsoever. But now that I'm like, I guess just getting older and learning more about it, I'm like, holy smokes, what are we doing? But
open up the floodgates.
But so socialism is more or less like, hey, let everybody have a good life, like a decent life. I'll say that. Like, everybody just needs to be okay. And like, sure, I get that. But if you want more, you should be allowed to have more.
I think it stunts innovation.
It does.
Because capitalism also, you're competing against other companies.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, competition drives innovation.
Correct.
And socialism doesn't do that, in my opinion. I think capitalism is one of the best ways for that.
Yes.
And I mean, that's why America has some of the best scientific and technological research, and universities even.
Yeah.
And companies. That's proof of it working, in my opinion.
And you'll see, like, I think Einstein and who else? There's been a few other, like, German or whatever engineers came from other countries to live here because we allowed them to do what they wanted to do. Like, other countries don't have our same mindset, so they're not really helping them, do better. So when you come to America, and think about all the people who have migrated to America to do something. That's why they call it the American dream. They don't call it the German dream, like, because America is where you come to just live out whatever you want to do. And
you have that freedom too.
Exactly.
That's a big part of it too.
Exactly. I think that there needs to be a place like that. Like, no matter where it is, like, it's great that it's in America. It's great that I was born in America. Like, the other day I posted on Facebook, I was like, being born in America is one of the greatest lotteries you'll ever win. And
that's a really good way to put it.
Yeah. Because, like, you could have literally, like, you could have been born a molecule on Mars. You could have been born a worm in India. Like, you could have been anything. But you were born a person.
You ended up here.
Yeah. You were born a person in America in whatever age you were born in. Like, luckily, if you were born around this time frame, you've seen so many, like, great inventions and stuff. But I mean, we say that now, but like 100 years from now,
imagine.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, the computer revolution, that's only been 35, I don't know exactly, but it hasn't been very long, and we've progressed exponentially every year.
I would say probably the early 80s when Steve Jobs and Bill Gates started. I'd probably say that was like really the start of it.
So I mean, we've just progressed so much to just imagine where we'll be just 10, 15 years from now. It blows my mind. I mean, we're sending people to the moon again, and we're going to establish a base on the moon. Yeah. We've got a space force now. Exactly. Whether you think it's a joke or if you think you're going to be protected by aliens or from aliens or whatever, it's just cool that things are evolving for the new technology that's available.
Absolutely.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, and I think, we just need to continue to like fund those things. And a lot of people, as I said, they just don't care to see America do those things. They're like, we need to put money toward, all these other things. Like children are starving. Like, yeah, I get that. But if we go to Mars and we can figure out stuff on Mars, imagine what we can do on Earth.
Yeah.
Like we can make food out of anything. Like everybody can have stuff. And like to get to the point that we are currently at has allowed us to make such cheap food. Like I think, who was it? I don't know if it was Neil deGrasse Tyson or somebody, but they were talking about the reason why, we have MREs and like all these other foods. Actually, I think somebody was talking about like a McDonald's meal was like the cheapest food you can buy for the most amount of calories.
Oh, really?
So like,
I wish I knew that in college.
So being able to just like, if McDonald's never came about, that's now we know that's like some of the cheapest food you can buy to have the most amount of calories. So like if there are poor people who cannot afford food, to give them food, give them McDonald's, because now they have calorie dense food to survive, which a lot of people don't think about food as survival. Like that's what you like.
We're just fortunate that we don't have to.
Yeah, like you don't have to think about like, oh, I need to eat this huge meal. Like no, that's why we have so many overweight, obese people, because they just think about food all the time. But like think about, I just need to eat a certain amount to get throughout the day and to survive. But in America, like we're so fortunate to have so much food that we can just eat all we want to. So like our innovation to be able to grow and like invent things and like military with MREs and stuff like that, just to have whatever we want and to be able to give it to people. Like I know people, as I said, people give America crap for, not giving, but like we take care of so many countries.
Yeah. Whether they want us to or not.
Yeah. And that was, what's the name of that movie? It had like Brad Pitt in it and he was like some general. Have you seen that movie?
Oh, yes. I know which movie you're talking about.
If anybody's listening to this and they know the name of the movie, sorry, that is killing me right now. But, so yeah, in that movie, at the end, he's like talking to, I guess it's like Afghan people or something, and he's trying to explain to them that they're there to help them and to save them from, I guess, like Taliban or whatever.
Yeah.
And or I guess they had like their version of ISIS in that movie.
That's an interesting topic.
Yeah, and then when he's trying to tell them that, like, I guess they spoke broken English. I can't remember if he had a translator or not. But they tell him, like, we don't want you here. Like, we want you to go home. And it like, confused him. It, like, hit him. Like, I've been fighting my whole life to take care of these people. Yeah. Not my whole life, but I've been fighting to take care of these people. And I'm just now realizing they don't even want me. But that's a crazy mindset for America, because we're like, we think we need to take care of we need to be the world police is what we call it. But,
yeah, I was just about to say that. And that's actually really similar to what I was thinking about when I said, whether they want us to help them or not.
Yeah.
But, that brings up an interesting political topic at the moment, everything that's going on in Afghanistan.
I'm going to be honest, I don't really know much. I just know that something about the Taliban has basically come back into Afghanistan.
They've taken control. Yeah, the president's, he took bags of cash and ran.
Dang.
And the Taliban came in and took his place. And with that, they took everything that, we gave them during our time there.
Yeah.
And it just makes me feel like I've never been in the military, but it makes me feel like people that fought there, lost limbs or, otherwise lost something there. It makes them feel like everything they did there was possibly for nothing.
Yeah.
But they did a lot of help, but all that just got swooped away in literally a day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Do you think that that's something that we could have been easily avoided, or do you think that was inevitable?
I don't know. I don't know what America knew and what we didn't know, or if this was all a strategic plan to somehow later go back. I don't know. But it makes me feel like it was a big misstep on America's part to withdraw their troops and basically say, all right, free game, have at it.
And again, it's a tough call, because like as I said, America likes to be the world police.
I know, that's the thing. I don't know what's right and what's wrong, but I have to imagine that people that know more about the situation than me and the military and the ranking officials making those calls are doing that in a calculated way.
Yeah.
That I don't know the intel to make that decision or make that call, but I'm hoping they do. They're making the right ones.
And like thinking about just war in general, like, I was in the Air Force, but I was in like no danger of anything. Like living in North Dakota, like, yeah, we had nukes and stuff like that. So we were a target, but it never crossed my mind to be like, man, North Korea could come over here and drop something on us on purpose. But like the people who were actually in, like, I almost got deployed to Qatar one time because so I worked with a B-52. And it's just a massive bomber.
Right.
We use it to carpet bomb people. That's pretty much what we used it for.
B stands for bombing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, we deployed to Guam when I first got there. And that was all we deployed to. If you were going to deploy, which we call it a TDY, it's temporary deployment, we would just go to Guam and come back to North Dakota. That was it. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, we're messing up the B-1s. It's like the B-1 is like it's like a fighter jet and a bomber like smashed into one thing.
Oh, really?
So it flies really fast, and I think it has, I want to say like 4 F-15 engines or 2 F-16, something like that. Because the F-15
that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, because I think everybody who's in the Air Force is going to kill me for this, but the F-15 I think has 1 engine and the 16 has 2. So it either has 2 16s, but it's got 4 total.
Gotcha.
But so yeah, that thing, it flies really fast, and they were like using that in Qatar. Well, I guess somebody make the executive decision to like, hey, let's take the B-1 out. Let's like rework that, restart, and we'll send the B-52 over. So then we started deploying to Qatar, and I almost got deployed there, but I was getting out of the military at the time. So that's when all my friends were getting deployed over to Qatar, and I was there long enough to see some of them come back or whatever. But that like alone is just like a crazy concept that we literally like leave our planes over there just to bomb other countries and to like, we're trying to save these people from, bad people, but like for the Taliban to take back over is like, holy smokes.
Yeah. Especially after all that work.
Yeah.
And time that was devoted to that.
Work, time, money, lives, that are in danger.
Yeah.
And I always think about, I think there was another movie I saw that made me think about this, but it's like, you don't really think about war hardcore until you are actually involved with it. And like, I could have lost any of my friends over there, which none of them, got injured or died or anything. But, if you're a mom or dad and like your kid is one of like my friends that went over there, like you're worried sick the whole time they're over there. But like, if you're just, Joe Schmo who lives in America and is like, yeah, freedom, America, like you don't really think about, those people who are fighting for your freedoms could have been your next door's neighbor's kid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So that I guess, what's the word? God, I can't think of the word, but we're disconnect. There we go. Disconnect from actually knowing somebody who has to go do that dirty work, and then just thinking, I guess most Americans think of it as like a video game. When you play a video game and you're
disconnected from that violence in a safe way.
Yeah, you're just like, oh yeah, go send troops, go fight. But if that's if that was your son, you'd be like, hey, let's not go fight.
Yeah.
Because that could be my kid out there. So yeah, I don't know. I think about that whenever it's like, what do we do? Like, do we go help this other country, or do we save the lives of, that's somebody's brother, that's somebody's sister, that's somebody's kid? that's a hard decision. Like if you're the president, commander in chief, or if you're 4-star general that has to go make those kind of decisions.
Those are hard calls, and sometimes there's no right answer.
Yeah.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, kind of thing. And
Absolutely.
you got to make. That's part of taking those high-ranking positions. Is you got to make those hard calls. It goes. I guess that goes for anything in a high-ranking position, whether it's in a company or military.
Absolutely.
You got to make the hard calls. That's why you get paid the big bucks.
Yeah. My dad, he was in the Army for like 27 years. He was in the National Guard, and growing up, he would always say above my pay grade.
Yeah.
And I never understood what that meant until I was in the military. And then I finally got to use it one time. I was like, that's above my pay grade.
You were waiting for that moment.
Yeah. I was like, I don't have to make that decision. I'm glad I don't have to make that decision because it's above my pay grade. So yes. But yeah, I mean, that's the kind of things where it's like, you want to help the world out. You really want to be the good guy, but there's only so much you can do. And for those of you who don't know, there's a website where you can look at the national debt.
Oh, that was the next thing I was about to bring up. Yeah, we'll just send more people. We'll just print more money.
Yeah.
What's our debt at now? A few trillion? Yeah,
I think it's at like 23 or 24 trillion now.
Jeez.
It's something
At some point, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
But because I don't know how it's going to affect me.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I knew the banks are going to collapse when it hits 25 trillion, I'm like, oh, whoa, let's start eating ramen all across the country and start buckling down. But no one knows what it means. Like, does it mean it's going to collapse when it gets to 30? I mean, I don't know.
Nobody
So it's
knows.
it is fiat money at the end of the day. We're not based upon the gold standard anymore. Fort Knox used to be the center where all the gold was kept to back every single bill that everyone had in the bank. But now that's not the case. It's just worth what the government says it's worth. So when they want to make more money to pay for more things, they just print more. Must be a nice thing. I wish I could do that.
Yeah. I was watching some video for school, and it was talking about how banks really work, and it really opened my eyes to they're literally just lending people money, loans, and then they say this is how much is owed, and then they get paid money, and then with that money they give somebody else a loan, and then the cycle just continues, and that's how inflation gets created.
Yeah, that and printing money, and especially all the handouts that we've been giving out for COVID and stuff, which some of those I think are necessary for certain people, but for
it's
people,
called the debt package.
The debt package. Yeah, that's a good name
not
for
the
it.
Stimulus package.
I mean, if the government's handing out money, I'm handing out my hand too. I don't want to pass that opportunity, but I just don't know if it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
We should be doing more things to incentivize people to get back to work, making that easier and less prohibitive. I think that would be the approach. But in some cases, I think it might be necessary, but I just don't know enough about it to say when that would be and when that wouldn't be.
Yeah. I mean, you could definitely beg to say that people like us are the problem because we make a good living and yet we were still getting the money.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, crap. I use most of that money to pay the debt off of this house, which that's part of debt. That's part of America's debt is mortgages and business loans and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, I just took government's money and paid off government debt with it. So I don't know, whatever. But
maybe that's like a trade. I don't know. I guess they get their money back.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I got a VA loan, so yeah. But it's I don't know. America, we have to make so many decisions that we feel like we're forced into, but it's we don't really have to do that.
Yeah.
But we can. That's what made us who we are. We're on top. I would say we are. People love to live here. They love the opportunities that you get from here. You don't see mass amounts of people trying to go to Russia or go to Great Britain or something like that. So
if anything, they're trying to come here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of of living in other places. Like me and Rachel have discussed, like one day when we get old, we'll move to like a really cheap country, like, save up plenty of money and just move to like a really cheap country and just like live out our days there, because it's different and it's more simplistic living. So that'd be kind of cool.
Like a ranch house.
Yeah.
Kind of live off the land.
Exactly.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I've considered that. I mean, that's pretty far in the future for me, but it would be cool, to change things up, save up the money for, your retirement, and like retire in like Ireland, farmland, and just, live out your days there. That'd be really cool. Or, maybe not necessarily in a farm, but, somewhere different. It's always cool to experience new things.
Absolutely. So you said you wanted to travel and you didn't get much time to travel.
Yeah.
Where have you been that wasn't work related?
I've been to China. That was through my brother, because he was having a wedding there. We spoke about this, but that was actually a week. There's a funny story that goes along with that too. So when we were there, now everyone knows the name of this city in China, but before no one knew what it was. But they got married in Wuhan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my brother's wife is from Wuhan.
Is that a big city?
It's huge.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's huge. And we actually went down that street that everyone talks about. Oh, yeah, the street. This is probably the street that COVID got created on or whatever. And it was right next to that lab. And that's where all the animals are for sale on the side of the street. You can buy them, slaughter them right there in front of you. It is kind of, it's not very clean. So I can imagine that after they said it was starting, I'm like, yeah, I can believe that. But that was a really interesting experience. But I've also been to South America in a few places. I've gotten the opportunity to go on cruises where I've gotten to go to a few places in Europe, just quick stops. But other than that, I haven't been too many places.
Okay.
China was a big culture shock for me. So I was like, obviously, that's as far as you can travel. Like, it's on the other side of the world, but things are very different. When you get off the plane, I mean, everyone looks at you different.
Yeah.
You're an outsider in their country, and they actually don't like Americans. Like, we had the hardest time finding a cab. A lot of cab drivers from the airport, a lot of cab drivers would see us and like roll down their window and spit at us and drive away. And luckily, my brother's fiance at the time was with us, so she found the right cabs and stuff. But for people that don't know what they're doing, they can get into these things called black cabs, which are like black market cabs, and they'll take in foreigners and then drive them down an alleyway and then like hold them up and just kick you out and drive away, and you won't even know where you are. You're in a foreign country, you can't speak the language, and you're basically screwed. Dang. And that nearly happened to us. My mom was waving one down. Oh, we need a cab. Yeah, we need one. And she nearly got in the car, and luckily my brother's fiance stopped her. But it's really different there.
Dang.
Now, that goes along with saying there's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
The food, oh, man. You've had Peking duck in America maybe, but having it in China at like one of the best Peking duck restaurants, it's like totally different.
Is that the name of a restaurant? I don't even know what. Peking duck?
Peking duck is just like a type of like way of cooking duck. I think the way it's traditionally cooked is they hang it on like a spit and they have some sort of heat that cooks it from underneath, and they also collect the drippings, like the fat from the duck, and they'll use that to baste it. Like every 30 minutes they'll baste it, and they cook it like that for like a day or two.
A day?
Yeah, it's on low heat. It's like their way of duck barbecue.
Oh, snap.
It's really good.
That's crazy. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's good.
I've had duck one time, and I think I'd always heard how fatty it was, and it was pretty fatty. But
it can be.
It's pretty good though. I mean, I think it kind of tastes like chicken, honestly, in my opinion. But it's pretty good though. Are you the type of person that you go somewhere, you just want to try different things?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with work, when I do get to travel. It doesn't leave you a whole lot of time to do stuff after work. You get off at 5, sometimes later if, you have to stay later. But it gives you enough time to eat.
Yeah,
So that's one thing you can do that's kind of different in every place. Every place has their own kind of subculture of food. Like Texas, big into Tex-Mex, obviously, and Mexican-inspired cuisine. Same with California, but you see that like inspirational twist to everything. I feel like all the new food trends start either on the West Coast or East Coast, like in New York or California.
Yeah.
And they work their way in. And like being from Georgia, we're the last ones to get any of it. So, like I remember when poke bowls were a big thing.
Oh yeah.
And in Georgia, we didn't even have any poke bowl place. We didn't even know what it was. And I went to California, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then a few years later, you know, we had some open up in, you know, the downtown district, and I knew what they were just because I went to some of these other states.
So you say you stay in the Savannah area, right?
Yep.
Is that somewhere that you see yourself being for a while, or you're like, all right, one day I got to get out of here?
No, definitely for the long term. We actually just bought our house not too long ago, just a couple weeks now, and so we're there for the long haul. Me and my fiance, and I really like the area. We're really about 10, 15 minutes outside of the downtown Savannah area in a town called Pooler, but they're up and coming, and they're developing a whole bunch of stuff right now. And being that distance away from Savannah kind of gets you out of that city life, but gives you easy access to it. And it also provides us pretty close proximity to the beach, which we love, and the water. So it's like the perfect place for us.
Is that one of your like favorite beach places?
It's definitely the most convenient, but you know, the thing about Georgia beaches is that they're so murky. Like the water, oh yeah, the water on the coast of Georgia, you cannot see your hand like 6 inches down in the water.
That's crazy.
It's something to do with the clay and the mud in the water that just stays suspended, and it just makes it really murky. It's not dirty. It's just like suspended mud, basically. But when you start getting onto Florida beaches and on the Panhandle especially, it becomes like clear as day.
Have you been to what's the name of that beach? It's up towards South Carolina. It's pretty popular. Myrtle,
yeah, oh yeah.
You've been to Myrtle? Do you like that better?
Yeah, that's a nice beach, and they've got a really nice like city kind of built around it too. It's nice there.
Yeah, me and Rachel went there one time. So actually, when I got out of the military, we drove from North Dakota to Alabama, and then separate too, because she had a vehicle and I had a vehicle, so we had to drive separate. We couldn't tow it because I had like all of our stuff was getting shipped, so we didn't have to move our stuff. It was just our vehicles that we had to move. So, but anyways, so we ended up going to her parents' house, which is in Ohio, and then I was like, I want to travel, so we went east from Ohio down the coast, and we made a stop at Myrtle, and it was one of like the greatest like short vacations. I think we stayed there for like 2 days.
You can get a lot done in Myrtle.
Yeah,
in a
it
short
was
amount
really
of time.
cool. I really enjoyed that, and like we were the hotel. Like I had no idea what the hotel was. I just booked one, and it was like right on the beach. And they had like a lazy river at the hotel.
Oh no way!
And we were sitting in I think it was a hot tub or just a pool. We were just sitting there, and random fireworks just started going off.
No occasion?
Yeah, no occasion.
That's
we were
awesome.
like, what did we book? Like, what is, but they were just in the distance, and we had a fireworks show, and we were like, all right, cool. Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was pretty crazy. But yeah, I really like Myrtle Beach. That was my point.
Well, no, I understand. Like, that is a really nice beach. And that story actually reminds me of one of the spur of the moment trips that my fiance, Rhea, and I went on. We decided, like, a couple days out to drive all the way down to the Keys from Georgia. It's like a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
It's a long way. And we were going to do it right after I got off work. I was going to hop in the car. We had all our stuff packed, and we're going to make it into a scuba trip. So we're both scuba certified, and we love to do that whenever we can.
Okay.
And there was this really nice shipwreck on Duck Key, and it was also mini lobster season. So you can go
mini lobster.
Yeah,
I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, no, it's just the season. It's called a mini season.
Oh,
it's like 3 days, and then that's it. And then they have like the main season later. But if you get in during the mini season, that's like the best time to find the lobsters because no one's been there for a year.
Oh,
because
okay.
You're not allowed to harvest them and like except for like a few days every year. So the mini season is the first opportunity until the next time. But we went there, went diving for lobsters, and went scuba diving. Saw some huge sharks. We saw like a 12-foot bull shark on the way down to the ship, and Rhea, my fiance, got so scared. And the universal sign for shark when you're scuba diving is like your hand on your head, like. And I did that, and before she even turned around, she's like trying to swim up. I'm like, baby, you can't do that, because when you're 100 feet down and you just like surface immediately, you get the bends if you've been under the water for long enough, and it's called decompression sickness as well. But basically, like the oxygen in your blood is expanding, and it causes. Like, it wreaks havoc. You have to go in a decompression chamber and everything. So I pulled her down. I'm like, you can't do that. And so she like hid behind me the entire time, like as we were scuba diving around the shipwreck. But it ended up being a great trip. We really enjoyed it, minus that 12-hour drive.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I think that most people who don't get out like don't realize how amazing America is. Like like from California all the way to New York. That. Everything's just so different, across the whole country. You can experience, as we were talking about, like if you say skiing around in Savannah, Georgia, people might think water skiing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's, people go to Colorado and Utah and all these places to go like snowboarding and skiing. And then you can go hiking across the U.S. and there's everything. There's everything you could possibly need.
So much beautiful nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's somewhere that you haven't been that you really want to go?
Ooh, let's see. In America?
Sure, yeah. Anywhere.
Oh, well, I would say Cabo San Lucas.
Where is that?
That's in Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on the west side of Mexico. But they have excellent scuba diving there. It's supposed to be one of the best scuba like locations in the world. Minus like Australia, Great Barrier Reef, stuff like that.
Okay.
But you can see so much. There's so much life there. There's something about the current that brings in a lot of sea life.
Is this east or west of Mexico? Like Pacific or?
It's on the west side.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's really beautiful there. It's a big tourist town, but they also have like an annual, it's really famous, it's called the Black and Blue Fishing Tournament, where they catch black and blue marlins. And it's like one of the biggest fishing tournaments in the world.
I don't think I realized that there were black marlins. I guess I just always thought like a blue marlin.
I might be, I'm pretty sure there are. Okay. I think that's why it's called Black and Blue, but I'm not a huge fisherman. But it would be cool to go there during that time period and actually see them, catch them, and bring them up to the dock to weigh them, and also go scuba diving there. And there's so many other things to do on the land too that are really cool from what I understand. Dope. Yeah.
So when you do plan vacation and go places, like how do you plan it?
I like to have an itinerary. I'm one of those guys that are very structured. Like I want to get the most out of my time there.
Yep, that's how I am. That's how I am.
Yeah, so I don't like wasting any moments. Like even like doing something, I'm like, well, we can do this. We can stop by there because it's on the way back instead of going home and then going there. I want to make the most out of even like the traveling from place to place at that location. So, Travelocity has actually been my go-to place to kind of book all my travel arrangements. Okay. My sister actually works for Travelocity, and she gets me some really good discounts.
Nice. I think
Expedia.
I was about to say I do Expedia.
Yeah. Sorry, I meant to say Expedia.
Okay, yep. That's what I do all mine is Expedia.
Yeah, they're really great.
They're perfect.
And she passes along a pretty good discount to me. So
nice. That
dope. Works out. Yeah, she's really got it made though because her husband works for Delta, and she works for like Expedia. So she's got the hotel arrangements. He's got the flight arrangements. So they travel all the time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, super jealous. But we travel when we can.
Yeah. So when you do go somewhere and you pick out the things that you want to do, does your girlfriend like have a certain thing she's like, oh, we have to do this, and then you're like, oh, we need to do this, and it kind of like you have to fit them in the same time frame?
Yeah, I mean, there's some dichotomy too, like between what she wants to do and what I want to do, and we usually have pretty similar like taste in like adventurous things that we want to do. But we usually always make it work out. And actually, like our second date, we went skydiving.
Oh, nice.
Like it was kind of I was kind of making myself seem like, oh yeah, we can go skydiving. Like, I'm not scared. We can do this, we can do that. Try to impress her. It's my second date, and she's like, hey, let's do it. She totally called my bluff.
Oh.
And it wasn't my first time though. I've already been twice, but it was her first time, and she was less scared than I was, and it was my third time. So after that, I was like, she's a good one. Yeah, she's a keeper for sure. And we love doing adventurous stuff together. But when we travel, we usually have a pretty good sense of what each of us want to do, and we make time for both.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, me and Rachel are into the same stuff. Like, we love hiking and camping, and
that's awesome.
And then also just like cool things to do in the city. So that's what I was telling you. Like, Vancouver, like, that was pretty dope. I gotta remember to show you those pictures.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like I guess just the outdoor, like the looks of it. Like, when I show you some of the stuff, like in the wilderness areas of like all the camping that we did, it just like, it makes it look so different. You just look like you're in Jurassic Park or something. Like the trees just look different, and everything, it looks natural. You know what I mean? Like, it looks untouched. Like, when you go to a park around like America, everything looks like somebody put it there. It looks put together.
Man-made.
Yeah. Yeah. But like in Vancouver, everything just looked natural. It looked like nobody ever touched it. It's just been that way since the earth was born. And it's really cool. So that's why I say I definitely suggest you go there.
Yeah. I wanted to hike the Appalachian Trail at one point.
Okay.
Not a large stretch.
Small goal.
Yeah. I mean, not the entire trail, but a small stretch of it. And, just experience that kind of freedom and, being, connected and so deeply like involved with nature along that that path. That'd be really cool. I love hiking and camping too. I just don't get a chance to do it as much as I'd like to. But doing something like that, just taking like a week off, that'd be a really cool trip. Yeah. Even to do just solo. I mean, I would just it would be nice to do that.
Dude, what blows my mind is like rock climbers.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh man,
just watching them do what they do, I'm just like, dude, no, like, you don't have to do this. Like, you're putting yourself at such risk of falling off of this. And then I've seen videos of people who are like ice climbing when they're using like the picks and stuff like that. And I'm just like,
shit,
that's
a different level.
Yeah, that could fall apart at any time.
Have you seen that movie Free Solo?
No, I don't. That's like watching a scary movie. Like, you could put like an EKG of my heart watching a scary movie and Free Solo, and it would be the same.
Oh, like, wow. It is pretty nerve-wracking. That guy flies through like cliffs like you just walk on land, and it's all like without a harness. It doesn't faze him. You got to be built different, Yeah,
you have to be. Like, my heart would just completely drop. I couldn't be friends with somebody like that.
Yeah, because nothing excites him. I mean, when you look at the guy's face, like I've seen him like do interviews and stuff. Like, he's so like monotone. Like, yeah, I just climbed that 120-foot canyon. It's just nothing phases the man.
Oh my God! But you'd have to be like, if you're a person like that, you'd have to be.
Yeah,
like that.
You got to be.
It wouldn't be good for your health to be excited about anything.
Skydivers are like that too. I only went like about 3 or 4 times, but the people that are trained and like get a certification are trainers. Yeah, they've been on hundreds, and they just get that adrenaline rush every time. That adrenaline is like nothing to them anymore. Nothing excites them. Nothing makes them like, oh yeah, that's pretty scary. Like, I've jumped off of, I've jumped out of a plane. I didn't even know if my parachute was in my back, but you know what? I made it. It's just crazy stuff like that. You got to be built different for it.
I remember thinking about stuff like that. I think I was watching the podcast with Joe Rogan and what's his name? Dan Bilzerian. And he was talking about like all the women he's been with, and he was like, a lot of people look at my life and they think it's great just with like, all the sex I've had with all these women. And he was like, I don't get to experience. He was like, because like when you think about having sex with like a hot chick, if you just consistently are doing that all the time, like who's a hot chick anymore? And I was like, dang, that's got to be a sad life. Because like,
how do you one up that?
Exactly. Yeah. Because like when you're with like your guy friends in college, you're thinking about all the hot chick in school, and you might not ever get a chance to be with her or whatever. But like when you're that guy and like all the chicks are hot and you're just consistently doing it, it's like what excites you anymore? Like what's even funny anymore? Like there is no. He said this one time he challenged himself to have sex with a chick without talking to her.
What?
And he did it. And I think she was like French or something like that. So she didn't even really know English.
The language of love.
Yeah, exactly, right. She didn't really know English. And he said he ended up having sex with her, didn't even talk to her. And I was like, dude, like there's no challenges anymore. Like, what is your life? And he said it gets kind of sad. Like it gets, I don't know if he said it gets miserable. It's probably not miserable. But he said it's kind of sad.
I can't imagine that man's life's very miserable. Yeah. He's rich and pretty much got everything he wants.
Yeah. But he said it gets kind of sad because it's like there's no more like, there's no more excitement about stuff. So thinking about like, a skydiver or something where it's just like what does excite that person? You can't tell that person anything. Like, hey man, want to go bowling? Like, bowling? No, I don't. Let's go jump out of a plane or something.
It's the only thing that gets me sort of excited anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sure you start by, it's super exciting. Then it just falls off and you got to start doing crazier and crazier things. You get diminishing returns off of that like adrenaline rush.
Yeah, it's like drugs.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be.
Yeah. But I wonder if you just change up like, what they have to do. And so for me, like being in front of a camera doesn't bother me. Like some people, like if they had to do this podcast all the time, like they make them nervous and stuff like that. Yeah. Like I still get nervous because I'm like, what if I didn't set up the microphones right? Like, what if the camera's not rolling right now? Like that kind of stuff makes me nervous. But like just being in front of the camera doesn't make me nervous. But some people like who might be a skydiver, they might be nervous to just do this, just to be in front of a camera.
That's a good point.
So I wonder if you like just take them out of their element and just give them something different. I wonder what that would do to them.
Somebody needs to do like a study on that.
Yeah. As I said, like, watching a scary movie and watching that dude like just free climbing, they both would make my heart jump. So, but like, as I said, like doing stuff like this, they say like public speaking is like people's number one fear. And I never get scared of public speaking, but it does still make me nervous. So when I was in the Air Force, when you leave basic training, you have to go to tech school. And in tech school, we had like a rope system. And so what a rope is like a, I'm about to make this comparison. It's about to hurt some people's feelings, but it's like Boy Scouts, basically. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. So there were different ropes. There was a white rope, I think was like people who wanted to do like chaplain type stuff. And then there's these three colors. It's red, yellow, and green. So a green rope was, I think we were called like airman leaders or something. Well, all the airman leaders, they started out with green. And so there was a bunch of green ropes, and then there were fewer yellow ropes because you like promoted to yellow. And then there was
like a ranking.
Yes, gotcha, and there was only one red rope. So I ended up being red rope, and I had to be in tech school for like 4 months, and most people aren't at tech school for 4 months. Like there were some people who did like services, and they were only at tech school for like a few weeks. I would say like maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and then they were gone. But again, I was there for like 4 months. So I ended up being red rope for like 2 months. So as I said, there's only one red rope. So you're in charge of the entire squadron. So like I was in charge of like 300 and something people. So I had to not only like tell them what to do all the time, but I also had to like march them to class. So like I would give a command to all the people who like led the flights, and then those people, are telling everybody else what to do. So
yeah, just kind of cascades down the rank.
So I had the easy job of just like lining everybody up, and then all 300 of them up, and then just basically telling them to march. And then everybody else just made the commands to get there. So it was really cool. It was fun. As I said, like,
Didn't make you nervous at all?
doesn't make me nervous at all. Like,
That's a good trait.
a lot of times I couldn't wait to like just do it. You know, it was fun. Like,
Yeah.
and I would have fun with it. Like, did you watch wrestling at all?
A little bit.
Wrestling. So
Like WWE?
yeah.
Oh, the fake
Yes.
stuff.
Fake.
Oh, wait, I mean,
So I was a huge wrestling fan when I was younger. I haven't watched it in forever, but I still like love those people of that time period that I watched it. And well, this was definitely like his prime was before my time, but Ric Flair. So
I know that name.
yeah, so there was a I think I saw a football team or something do this, but they would say, "Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair," and so they'd be like, "Woo!" So I got my squadron to start doing that, and one time we did it while we were doing stretches, and I was like, "Everybody, give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair," and then our flight chief was out there, so he's like I want to say a senior master sergeant or something like that. Which above that's just a chief master sergeant. That's it.
Oh, wow.
So he was out there. I don't even think I knew he was out there. And he was like, "Red rope."
He called you Red Rope?
Yeah. He was like, "Do that again." And I was like, oh, he liked it. So I did it again. And so, yeah, he loved that from then on out. And then this one time, we go to what was it? It was a parade. It was a POW parade. So in military parades, they're just asking you to march. That's it. So I had to march our squadron around, and they picked certain people to do the march. It was like the best marchers. I think it was probably like 20 or 30 people.
You get hand selected for that?
Yeah, like
Okay.
we just basically picked the people who we thought were like some of the best marchers in the squadron. And we had to get like the best flag bearer, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
We do a march and everybody goes through, and then we had like step competitions is usually like black fraternities do those.
Yeah.
So we had something like that, but I forgot what they called it. But all the squadrons did their thing, and one of the squadrons during their like performance, their guy was like, "Give me 2 claps," and I was like. And our flight chief like turns around real slow and looks at me, and I was like,
I bet you they're still doing that to this day.
probably.
You started a tradition.
Yeah. And so at the end, the guy who was over it, I think it was like a 1-star general, we won. Like our squadron won the POW parade. And so everybody's celebrating. One of our staff sergeants like took the flag and starts waving it one night.
Oh, no way.
And I was like, "Everybody, give me 2 glasses." But I don't even know why I started telling you this story, honestly. But that was something that I thought was just hilarious. Was just being nervous about being in front of people.
Yeah.
So that was something I just thought was really cool. But none of that stuff like made me nervous. Like just
That's a great trait to have, though.
I guess even like the programming stuff. Like sometimes I get nervous when. I will be honest, a lot of times I have no clue what I'm doing. I will be honest. And I'll tell people that. And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I don't have a clue what's going on." But
I think that's the unfortunate truth, like with any programmer.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain level of, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out.
Exactly,
You know,
yeah.
because that's part of the problem solving process in a lot of cases. You don't know what you're getting yourself into, but you'll figure it out, you know?
exactly. And that's what I think it makes a good programmer is when you're able to just use either logic, literal logic, and use your common sense and just like, figure out what's going on. And like what we were talking about earlier, if you're sleep deprived, like you're going to miss really small things.
Yeah.
This one time, we kept getting a high bundle stop. Like it was, the sensor to tell us that we had,
A wrapper?
I'm sorry. I meant wide bundle. So it would tell us when we had a wide bundle, and, it kept going off. So like it would stop the line. We were like, what's going on? So, I think I saw something, but I think I just disregarded it because it didn't look the way that it was supposed to. Like it it didn't alert me the way it should have. And then Chuck saw the same thing, but he actually saw the issue. It was so when I was looking at my program, I think the bit didn't flash at me. And when Chuck was looking at it on his computer, it did. He saw it flashing.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, I think that wide bundle eye is like going in and out. And he was like, that's probably
Just
the problem.
too fast to see on the logic. Yeah.
It was too fast to like visibly see. Yeah, the update, the refresh rate. And I was like, no way. Because it made me mad. Chuck is my superior.
Yeah,
so I want to find stuff before he does. And I was just so mad because I saw that, but like on my computer, I literally didn't see it. Because,
but you looked.
Yeah. I literally couldn't see it because it didn't like happen fast enough. Or my computer didn't update fast enough, but he literally saw it. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, because I think there was, I want to say a couple hours difference between when I saw it and when he saw it. Because that would have saved us 2 hours of troubleshooting if I was able to find that earlier. But if we were all sleep deprived, we probably would have never noticed that.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff is like makes a huge difference.
Oh yeah. I mean, programming is one of those like professions that you need to be laser focused, excuse me. And anything that, I mean, if you're sleep deprived, you can make really silly mistakes. And sometimes in certain situations, it could be dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, there's obviously a lot of safety that is involved with industrial machinery. And if you don't program something the right way, it could cost someone their life.
Absolutely.
Or, appendages or, you name anything.
Absolutely. Speaking of sleep deprived. It's like 8:40, dude.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Well, this has been a good talk.
Hey, yeah. Let's wrap this up. You said you have a business. I usually promote stuff. Like there's usually somebody there that I have to promote. Do you need to promote your business? You need like 3D printing business?
Yeah. If anyone has any 3D printing needs, you can hit me up at polyform3d.net. We do all sorts of 3D printing. It's kind of a side project of mine, but me and my friend from college are working on that. So
that's dope. So like you just make anything?
Yeah, we've made all sorts of stuff. We've made stuff.
Like if I need a glass or a knife or anything?
Yeah, if you want it, I mean, we can definitely 3D print. If it's within the reasonable specifications to be 3D printed.
Okay.
But we've got a really nice 3D printer that can print high quality plastics.
What's the craziest thing you've 3D printed?
Everyone always asks me that. So we've worked with this guy he's invented a pecan cracking machine. And he has gotten us to 3D print every single component before he puts it into production. And he assembled it after it's a large machine, probably the length of this room.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Why did he get you to print the tools and not the actual thing?
Sorry. We printed the pieces, the parts that.
Why did he get you to print the pieces and not? I guess I'm not understanding. I guess your limits of being able, like, so if you could, I'm trying to think. So could you 3D print this?
Yeah, definitely.
If somebody had invented this, and they were like, "I need you to 3D print the teeth," and then, by the way, this is a golden Uzaru. If anybody wants to know from Dragon Ball,
yeah.
But if he was like, I need you to 3D print these arms, this head, that's basically what he's asking you to do. And then he puts it together. Why wouldn't he just ask you to 3D print
the whole thing?
The end product.
Because it's just too big.
Oh.
And it's, like I was saying, it's like the length of this room. Okay. And there's a lot of
different... I should let you finish.
No, it's fine. It's a really cool project, though, because, he's developing this with us. And, obviously we're just doing it on the weekend, but we've kind of been with him every step of the process. And I think we've already developed or printed over 120 parts for him. And It's like the prototyping phase for him. So we'll print it, he'll take a look at it, he'll kind of put it into his machine and see if it works, and then we'll make adaptations to it. But that's probably that's the coolest thing that we've worked on. Maybe not the craziest, but it's definitely the coolest. It's still ongoing.
It was a what?
He's invented a new way of cracking pecans or pecans.
And it's that large?
It's huge, yeah.
So, I mean, I'm assuming it does a lot at one time.
Yeah. You just load it into a hopper, and then it'll bring them into this machine and crack them and, separate the shell from the nut meat, and then, keep that whole, there's a whole science to it that I'm unaware of that he's spent a good bit of time developing, and learning about. But
does he already have the patents for it and everything?
Yeah, he's patented it and everything.
Is it already a company?
I'm not sure if he's developed a company around it just yet, but I know he's planning on it.
I was wondering if he already had a way he was doing it and then just thought of this to make his job easier.
Yeah, he was in his earlier days. He was he was a manufacturing engineer, and he worked for a company that made life jackets. Oh, totally unrelated, but he got experience with manufacturing and understood how to design parts, make parts, stuff like that. And then I guess he lived on a farm or in close proximity to pecans, and then he found a good way to do it.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, if you need some 3D printing, hit up Patrick about that.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
pretty cool. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, cool. Well, everybody, that was Patrick Riley. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.